Hi everyone, my name is Taha Abbasi. I serve as the Chief Technology Officer here at Ferrum Network, and today I'm excited to bring you another monthly development update from Ferrum Network. This is going to be a power-packed update where we're going to be covering all the strategies, the development, the R&D, and the deployments that we've done in the month of September. But we're also going to cover some of the things that we found over the last couple of quarters in terms of testing our different development approaches, which have worked well, which have not, and how we're adopting the most effective approaches across our different teams. So make sure to stay tuned towards it all the way to the end of the video, as there's going to be a lot of material that's going to be covered in this one. Without any further ado, let's dive right into the first topic, which is an element that we focused on and discovered after doing a review of our development velocity, our code quality that was going out, and trying to figure out ways to improve it. A few quarters ago, we did an analysis and we looked at our velocity of shipment products, whether that was the bridge that we had released, its updates in terms of integrating other networks. We had also reviewed development of newer products such as Crucible and MultiSwap, so on and so forth, along with development of our core technology line that revolves around mainnet. And what we realized that even though our team had scaled, it had scaled from 2 engineers in 2021 to over a dozen engineers and a total engineering size of 20 engineers now, our development velocity had not scaled at the same level. If we weren't necessarily shipping multiple X faster than we were before. And as we did a review and tried to understand what was the root cause of this issue, we realized that as our team scaled up, we continued to spread our team a little bit too thin. And this little bit too thin started to exponentially increase into quite a bit too thin over a couple of quarters. What does this mean? This meant that as our team scaled up into more and more teammates, instead of focusing that energy into getting the same core products that were higher priority on our roadmap out quicker, because of the needs of the business that would come up, we would have ad hoc requests coming through to deploy a modification to our staking product for a client, or to do a specific grant integration in order to secure funds to fund the business, because we are not a company that, as I've mentioned in a recent update, that has sold any of our Ferrum tokens in order to facilitate our business operations. So these revenue generating activities kept taking a precedence in order to keep the lights on, in order to keep funding development and growth of the company. The downside of this was that while one benefit being that we were able to support the growth of the company, the downside being that our development team was spread across building and pushing updates off for Crucible and maintaining that, building and pushing updates off for staking and maintaining that, building and pushing updates out for a vesting tool, and then customizing those vesting tools for different custom client needs. Essentially, Ferrum had sort of become a software house, essentially fulfilling the needs of the different clients and grant integrations that would come through. So that was one problem, is we were doing too many things all at once and wasn't really ideal for the type of goals that we have and the size of the team that we had. Secondly, the issue was that we prioritized, rightfully so at that time, it is something we needed as the bear market hit. Our revenues, our holdings, everything went down upwards of 90%. And we had planned that this was going to happen. Obviously, when you're in crypto, you need to prepare for the market cycles. But specifically for our business, we had to look at ways to continue to bring in certain revenue to fund the development through the bear. So we prioritized going after grants that provided significant capital. And these grants were for networks. Of course, if there's a network out there typically giving out a larger size grant that is in the 6 figures area, they're typically doing that because they're not getting a lot of traction and they want you to go ahead and build and integrate with them in order to attract a lot of volume and a lot of traction towards them. So while this was helpful in generating revenue, it hurt the adoption of our products, because instead of aligning our products with high volume and high traction networks already, such as Solana and other non-EVM networks that would have taken off quite a bit in the Cosmos or the Polkadot ecosystem, we focus our attention on these niche networks, which added a lot of value but did not help the products as much. So we've changed those angles, and we started a few quarters ago an approach to isolate a specific segment of our team, and that segment was our mainnet team. So what we've done with the mainnet team is we have completely removed all distractions for the mainnet team a few quarters ago and asked them to solely focus on mainnet work, not focus on any other grants integrations, not focus on any of the ad hoc work that might come through. And we took that responsibility, assigned it to our other gateway and MultiSwap and general development operations teams. The benefit of this was quite evident. In 2 quarters, our mainnet team with that sole focus was able to put out better deployment updates, was able to put them out quicker at a higher quality, and was able to innovate as well by freeing up that brain power to not have to constantly worry about conflicting priorities coming through. They were able to focus on and deliver really, really high quality. And now we're at a point where we have a slot secured on Kusama as a parachain. We are already pushing out testnet live here in a quarter upcoming. We're also going to be pushing out node rewards in the upcoming quarters, and we're well on our way in a much better position than we were a year ago in our road towards deploying Ferrum mainnet. So this result and this change in direction has had a significant improvement. So we took this approach, and now we wanted to share this same approach that has been successful in other areas as well, which is why you've seen some of the changes come through. So we've now taken that approach of having a laser focus on a limited amount of products. That doesn't mean that we're not going to go ahead and support and facilitate all of our other products and services. It just means that we are going to focus on delivering all of our development effort on one product at a time that is a higher priority, keeping some capacity for ad hoc urgent issues, but mostly we're going to be focused single-mindedly on the product at hand. Currently, that product has been identified as mainnet as being the main core, and secondly, being MultiSwap as our second main core product, which is going to utilize a lot of the mainnet technology as well. So in that light, I'm going to first focus on sharing some of the updates about how the work has been done over the week of September. So I'll be over the month of September, I'll be sharing my screen and going over some of these items. And then I'll get into how we're adjusting this strategy to assign all of this work and effort towards a more focused product line. So let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. So as you can see on the screen, this is our Jira timeline roadmap. It covers all of the different items that would be on our development and technical roadmap in this format, in the form of epics. We do have this actually open source, so you guys can actually access this through an open source link and follow along with all of these updates. So I want to focus on what is our priority right now. So as you can see that we had quite a few things going on in the past. We have really prioritized the epic of MultiSwap fixes and optimization. When we went through a couple of beta testing rounds of MultiSwap, we gathered that feedback. We gathered all the feedback that was provided by users, whether actively or through the data tools that we had put out, looking at how they were specifically utilizing MultiSwap, where transactions were failing, where the user experience wasn't optimal. And we have dissected that down into 70 different issues and improvement areas that we have identified that our team is working on right now. Our current timeline to complete this is 6 weeks from the time this started, so it's scheduled to be completed around the 3rd of November. There are obviously some elements that can push that forward if we do run into complications, but that's the general timeline. I also want to share something else that you can look at very easily, and we share these in our development reports as well. This is all of our issues and items, features, bugs that were marked as complete in the month of September. So in total, the team worked on 264 different issues, out of which we have fixed and pushed out about 29 bug fixes. And then out of those total 264, 223 were different issue feature updates, tasks related to research and development and improvement of the products, execution of an improvement of quotation APIs, user flows, user experience updates, so on and so forth. And then this is what I was mentioning is in terms of the 70 issues that we have isolated down after the multiple rounds of beta testing for MultiSwap updates that we'll be pushing out. So when you look at or across the 263 issues, bug fixes, and feature enhancements that were worked on in the month of September across the non-mainnet team, what you see is that all this effort has been spread across staking, MultiSwap, Crucible, the gateway, and multiple other custom requests, including integration requests that have come through. So what we are doing now is utilizing the same approach that we've done on the mainnet side and removing all of this distracted, almost chaotic environment and approach of pushing out multiple product updates at the same time and focusing our team on a single focus area of pushing out a MultiSwap related update. That core update, once it's pushed out, there will be a team and then resources allocated to maintain and enhance that. But then we'll move on to the next set of updates, which we've planned already for the gateway and Crucible side. And then after that, we'll come on and have some more updates that are related to improving liquidity sectors, mainnet integrations, the pre-sale side of the business. So instead of working on them in parallel with smaller sections of the team working on them, we've assigned the entire team to focus entirely on one product at a time. We've already seen a huge benefit of this on the mainnet side, and we're hoping that we see a similar adjustment and a similar improvement on the MultiSwap and gateway product side as well. So that's first part of the update. Now we'll get into the second part. Okay, so now we're going to cover the next part of the update, which relates to the gateway and Crucible updates that we've just put out. So Crucible had quite a few bugs that were reported by users and things that we've experienced over time as it relates to not being able to estimate the gas appropriately, which led to many failed transactions, the approval flow not refreshing after an approval is done, and it caused a lot of issues with users having to refresh the screen and not having a smooth user experience. And there were some preference related issues too. So if you chose that you didn't want to see a specific intro or instructional screen again and again, it kept showing up. There were a number of other issues as well, as we've identified. I think it was up to about 20 or 23 bugs that were identified by different users. So we have been able to push all those out, but those have been pushed out in an update that is specific to the desktop and laptop versions of Crucible. We have not pushed out the mobile version because, contrary to what is a valid or general pattern out in the Web 2 world or in general with general applications, you have about 80 to 90% of traffic coming from mobile users. In the case of Gateway and our applications, however, our data is showing that 78+% of traffic for us is coming from desktop and laptop users. So we prioritize the resolution and solution for desktop and laptop users first, and then we're going to work on the mobile version afterwards. Currently, we've chosen to reprioritize and put all of our resources and effort on creating a full-fledged complete application for MultiSwap. This includes a web and mobile version for MultiSwap, and those same mobile elements will then come back and be applied to Crucible as well. So with the latest update, you're now able to go ahead and stake, unstake, claim rewards, do all of those elements on Crucible. And I highly encourage anyone that's following the latest DAO proposal that was passed to go ahead and unstake their BSC CFRM and utilize the migration period where we are waiving the unstaking fee and the bridging fee to move their CFRM BSC tokens over to Arbitrum and stake in CFRM Arbitrum to continue to participate in pre-sales and upcoming promotions. We also have added 10 million tokens in liquidity of an FRM and CFRM pair on the Arbitrum side, which adds a huge advantage in terms of price impact and slippage when you're purchasing or selling the tokens. So trading is more effective on Arbitrum. The overall experience is going to continue to be more effective on Arbitrum as well. We will still support BSC, but the fees for moving over to Arbitrum are going to be reintroduced after October 12th. So I highly encourage that if you're interested in taking advantage of this fee-free period, that we go ahead and jump on that now and complete your migration by bridging your CFRM tokens over before October 12th. Next, let's go ahead and cover some of the updates as they relate to MultiSwap and all of the work that we have planned out to complete over the next 6-week period with the major update that we're pushing out and how we gathered that update and those issues that we want to prioritize for the work on MultiSwap as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and cover the MultiSwap update. So in terms of MultiSwap, we went through a couple of rounds of beta testing and feedback that came through a couple of dozen users that were very, very helpful in providing their feedback and conducting transactions. We also ran a Zeely campaign to sort of scale test and stress test the MultiSwap application to find out all of the things that are working well and things that, whether from a UX or UI standpoint or an architectural standpoint, could be a problem. And we've been able to gather and dissect down all of those issues and prioritize them to a list of 70 different issues that need to be resolved and addressed. And they largely stay in the following categories. So we need the ability to interact with V3 routers. Currently, MultiSwap is only designed to interact with V2 routers, and more tokens are adding liquidity on V3 routers. V4 routers are upcoming as well. So we are going ahead and integrating with 1inch to solve the V2, V3 routing limitation, and we will be able to, with this integration, we'll be able to interact with V2 and V3 routers and optimize liquidity to the best possible route possible, whether that's V2 or V3, depending on where most of the liquidity for that specific token lives. We are also introducing a settlement engine, which will be able to provide a slippage tolerance for swaps. And if a swap fails, that slippage tolerance will be able to settle your asset in a Foundry asset such as USDC, or will be able to allow you to conduct a different swap. We also have introduced many other elements such as improved quotation APIs. Currently, our competitors, Rubik and some of the other competitors out there, have done a good job in providing speedy quotations, but there's a user experience issue. For example, if you go and use Rubik, you do get a really fast quotation that updates every 3 to 5 seconds. But then if you're trying to conduct a swap, every 10 seconds you have to click rate update. So it's an annoying experience for users. So we have put in a solution that solves for that. It's a more optimal experience that will be going out with MultiSwap as well. This, along with a multitude other updates and a mobile first design for MultiSwap, is going to be pushed out in the upcoming updates. So that is what you'll see in terms of our development updates and development reports, our reports that come out on a monthly basis on our Confluence. And you can also follow along these updates on our GitHub directly. I highly encourage everyone, because we've open sourced these things, is to follow those along and to continue to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to our Telegram, to our Discord, and ask questions about any of the work that we're doing. Before I close this video out, I do want to highlight some of the work that we're doing on the mainnet side and what the plans are for that. So we'll cover that next, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, as I highlighted in the beginning of the video, the mainnet team has done tremendously well with the removed distractions and with the ability to just focus on getting all of only mainnet related work done. So now we've come to a position where we have secured a parachain slot on Kusama. We've deployed a binary on there and it's creating blocks. The next step was to deploy governance to be able to ensure that the upgrades to the network go through a governance mechanism. So this functionality has also been developed. And all of the functionality that we had developed as far as multi-chain interaction, multi-chain messaging that goes through Quantum Portal set of smart contracts has also been developed. And we are now getting ready to go ahead and push that over to our testnet. So that is the next phase. The team is currently finalizing the steps needed in order to ensure an internal audit is completed. We're going to go ahead and submit an external audit request to our auditing partners. And we're going to go ahead and push these changes over to testnet in order for the public to get involved and start utilizing the product and giving us feedback. The plan is that after the testnet is live and we've received initial feedback, we're going to go ahead and enable miners over the next quarter to start mining, and validators start validating and then giving out some rewards for this effort. All of this is going to come out in the form of a DAO proposal. Over the next month or so, we'll be forming some documentation around what this DAO proposal entails, what is the reward mechanism as it relates to monetary policy, how much of these rewards are we allocating to the testing cycle, and how we plan to execute them and learn from the feedback that we gather from this testing cycle before we launch it on the Quantum Portal mainnet, and then in the future, of course, on the Ferrum mainnet. So these are some exciting updates. Again, we put out a weekly mainnet update on our Telegram and Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to that. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the like button on this video, and turn on notifications if you want to stay up to date to the latest development updates coming out of Ferrum Network. As always, it's a pleasure sharing these updates with you guys, sharing all of the awesome work that the Ferrum team is doing behind the scenes, and we are excited to build amazing products for you guys every single day we show up to work.